On the news tonight, Gbajabiamila says conclusion of Constitution amendment not visible. Governor Adeleke expresses displeasure over infrastructural delay. And on the foreign scene, Guinea's former dictator Camara denies responsibility for 2009 massacre. Good evening, welcome to Major Report. My name is David Ojo. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, has expressed doubt that the current constitutional amendment effort will be concluded before the expiration of the night assembly. He gave the indication at the 2022 parliamentarian lecture organized by the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies held in Abuja. The lecture has a theme delivering on our contract with Nigeria implementing the legislative agenda of the 9th House of Assembly Representative Congress challenges and way forward. According to the Speaker, the tenure of the current 9th session of the legislature will end in early June next year. The National Assembly had currently and recently alleged that state governors were using state assemblies to stall the process of amending the constitution alteration carried out by the member of the federal legislature. Speaker Gbajabiamila, who presented a paper, said the National Assembly had passed a draft of amendment to the constitution and advanced them to the states as required. On the achievement of the House of Representatives, Mr. Gbajabiamila said it had passed landmark legislation to fix the oil and gas industry. Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke has expressed displeasure at the level of infrastructural decay in both education and health sector in the state. Senator Adeleke expressed his displeasure when he paid an unscheduled visit to John Mackay Anglican Primary School, Ayekpe area, Osogbo. Governor's House correspondent Abdurrahim Adekulekun has more details.
Inspecting the road from Shadiat Bridge, Ayekpe area of Osogbo-Ilesha Road, Senator Ademola Adeleke trekked the road from the junction down to the primary school. Speaking with some of the residents, the state governor said he decided to embark on the visit to have first-hand information on the state of the road and level of infrastructural deficits that has happened to John Mackay Anglican Primary School, Ayekpe area, Osogbo. The headmistress of the school, Mrs. Esther Ogundipe, while conducting the governor round to the school, said most of the blocks of classrooms in the school were blown off by storms and were abandoned because the previous government did not do anything to fix them. Responding, the governor assured the teacher, who was moved to tears, that the school and the road will be part of the completed projects to be celebrated in commemoration of his 100 days in office.
I can assure you, whatever we need to do to improve facilities and part of infrastructure, we will do it. In our 100 days, you will see what will happen. So don't cry again, you will not cry no more. Okay?
The governor, who caught the residents of the area unaware, was welcomed by pupils of the school, who had trooped out en masse to welcome him with songs. The governor also visited Otaifu Maternity Center in Olonda North LCDA, where he lamented the state of things at the facility with no drugs, beddings, and an unkept environment. The governor assured the residents of the area that his government will leave no stone unturned in ensuring that people have access to qualitative healthcare services.
Look at the bed, look at the bed. Somebody will just sit here now.
The residents of the area, who could not hide their joy, said no government presence could be felt in the area and that it is the first time a governor will visit their community regardless of the poor state of the road. It has been Abdurrahim Adekulekun reporting.
In another development, Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke has ordered immediate stoppage of illegal mining as well as arrest and prosecution of illegal mining syndicates. Senator Adeleke gave these directives while inaugurating a committee on solid mineral sector. Once again, Governor's Office correspondent Abdurrahim Adekelekun completes the story.
According to Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke, the inauguration of the committee is meant to rescue the soul of the state's economy, adding that the committee is saddled with the responsibility of recovering and protecting the common assets and solid mineral resources of Osun State. He said this administration is beaming searchlight on the solid mineral sector with particular attention on the activities of Shegilola Company and others operating in the state's gold field, while lamenting that there is no record of any payment of the 13% derivatives due to the state in several years of its existence. Senator Adeleke condemned the level of environmental degradation that the state has been subjected to by those operating in the mining field.
Osun State is entitled to 13% derivation from every ounce of gold extracted from our gold and other solid mineral fields. Shegilola and other operating companies are expected by law to pay Osun State 30% derivation on the value of gold and other solid minerals produced in the last 25 years. To date, we have no record of any payment made by Shegilola and other mining companies to Osun State. My administration is determined to recover every penny owed Osun State by companies operating in Osun Gold Field.
In a similar development, the governor lamented a situation where revenue agents earn more than the state and directed that all revenues must henceforth go to the coffers of the state. He therefore directed all revenue agents in the state to report to the committee immediately for new terms of engagement.
Consequently, all consultants managing the control booths and collecting haulage revenue are hereby suspended, pending review by the revenue committee.
On the report of illegal logging of precious woods, the governor ordered immediate suspension of all logging permits. He also suspended the engagement of all consultants manning the control posts for the collection of haulage revenues. The governor charged the committee to look into the area of revenue leakages and come up with new ideas on how to boost the internally generated revenues of the state. It has been Abdurrahim Adekelekun reporting.
Professionals have called for proper development and management of the country's solid mineral sector to bring about a total turnaround of the Nigerian economy. Taiwo Alake from the Business Desk completes the story.
Women in mining Nigeria said with good development and management practices, the sector can lead to social development and employment opportunities for many people, adding that increased women participation in the sector would add value. These were part of the resolution and 3 days capacity building training with the team safeguarding the rights of women and children in the solid mineral sector in Nigeria, organized by women in collaboration with Open Society Initiative for West Africa, which held in Ado-Ekiti as a key tool for promoting women's engagement in safe and sustainable mining practices. WIMI President Janet Adeyemi said the program was to equip women with the requisite knowledge and skills needed to initiate and sustain significant boost in women's participation and career advancements in mining. Meanwhile, the United Nations says plastic waste in Nigeria has been on the increase due to increasing consumption of plastic by citizens across the country. The United Nations Industry Development Organization and Regional Director for West Africa, Jim Bakole, disclosed this at the inauguration of the steering committee for the project tagged Promoting Sustainable Plastic Value Chains through Circular Economy Practices. He stressed that the consumption of plastic in Nigeria has jumped by 116.26% with a period of 15 years to 1.25 million tons. In his speech, which was made available to newsmen in Abuja, Bakole said, as the most populated nations with the largest gross domestic product on the African continent, Nigeria's plastic waste problem is on the increase. Based on its increased consumption from 578,000 tons of plastic in 2007 to about 1,215 tons, therefore the per capita plastic consumption has grown by 5% annually from 4 kg to 6.5 kg. It is estimated that each citizen would noted that over the years, mismanagement of plastic waste was not only contaminating the land ecosystem but was also being released in the marine environment, thereby polluting it and threatening biodiversity and negatively impacting the blue economy. To address the concern in Nigeria, the Minister of Environment, Muhammad Abdullahi, who inaugurated the committee, said it is in response to the challenges that the Federal Ministry of Environment, in collaboration with relevant stakeholders, took steps to address the plastic issues holistically by adopting the circular economy model. Tewalake, Osbc News.
Political parties have kicked against the new cash withdrawal limit introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria, stating it could choke the political process. Parties including the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Social Democratic Party, Africa Democratic Congress, and African Democratic Party contended that the policy will affect the fundraising required by the candidate to sustain their campaign ahead of the 2023 elections. Other political parties who also spoke include the African Action Alliance, Zenith Labour Party, and the All Progressive Grand Alliance, as they declared that it will impact the poor rural dwellers. Governor Amadou Fintiri of Adamawa State accused the CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele, of targeting the political class with the new cash withdrawal limit, which restricts over-the-counter cash withdrawal by individuals and companies to 100,000 and 500,000 respectively per week. Commenting on the circular, the Director of Strategy Communication, National Election Management Committee of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, Chief Dele Mamadou, said the recent cash withdrawal policy announced will affect the party's funding activities, adding that if enforced, the policy will strangle the political process. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and International Press Center, IPC, have called on Nigerians to join hands in the fight against disinformation and misinformation, which they said was serious threat to the 2023 general election. They made the call at a stakeholders meeting organized in Abuja by IPC-led partners and Component Force Support Media of the European Union support to democratic governance in Nigeria. No fewer than 40 stakeholders drawn from the media and civil society organization attended the event chaired by Professor Jibrim Ibrahim, chairman of the editorial board and Premium Times and senior fellow of the Center for Democracy and Development. National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voter Education Committee of INEC, Festus Okoye, lamented that the spreading of the fake news on a daily basis by unscrupulous individuals with the target of misinforming the electorate was posing serious threat to next year's poll. Executive Director of IPC, Lanre Arobundade, said the stakeholders' interface was centered on countering electoral misinformation and disinformation, which may harm the 2023 elections if left unchecked. Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner Dr. Mutiu Adegboke has appealed to residents of the state to come out en masse to collect their permanent voter card in order to vote for the candidate of their choice in forthcoming general election. Dr. Mutiu made these appeal during his visit to some of the collection center covering 4 different local government areas in the state. Omotayo Adebodu has the details.
The country prepares for the general election in 2023. The Independent National Electoral Commission has begun collection of permanent voters' card in all local government offices of the commission across the country. In Osun State, the visit of the REC, which began at the INEC office in Olonda local government, to Osogbo local government and Ede North local government, terminating at Ede South local government to see the level of compliance of the people. Speaking with OSBC News after the visit, the resident electoral commissioner, Dr. Mutiu Adoke commended the patience and understanding of Osun people while assuring that in making the cards available for collection, the Commission will also work to ensure that the process is simple and age-free for the citizens of the state.
INEC is not saying we want to distribute. It's about collection. So if it's about collection, then there should be a kind of accessible opportunity for the electorate to be able to do that. So what we are doing today is to assess how far we have gone, what are the teething challenges, are there issues, and from all the 4 local governments we visited, we discovered that people came out early enough.
Dr. Adoke added that incidence form will not be used during the election, assuring that only beavers will be used. He also disclosed that after the collection exercise at INEC office local government, which will run till 5th of January, including Saturday and Sundays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and from 6th to 15th January, the collection will be moved to the wards. And finally, the INEC local government offices from 16th to 22nd, when the collection will end. Earlier, Dr. Adoke paid a courtesy visit to the state commander of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agencies, NDLEA, Mr. Yomi Ogunbiyi, where he solicited for the continuous support of the agencies as INEC cannot organize a successful election without other relevant agencies. In his response, Mr. Yomi Ogunbiyi assured NDLEA will do everything the Constitution allows to guarantee the success of 2023 general election. Omotayo Adebodun, Osbc News.
Similarly, Imo State Police Command says gunmen launched an attack on the Independent National Electoral Commission office in Owerri, the state capital. Part of the building was damaged after it was touched by firebomb. The state police public relations officer, Mr. Mike Abatam, who confirmed the incident to newsmen, said 3 of the gunmen were killed while 2 firebombs were recovered from the scene. Abatam added that the attack occurred 8 days after another INEC office suffered an attack in a rural local government area of the state. The Commission's office in Ebonyi, Osun, and Ogun State were also touched within the past 4 weeks, sparking fears that some people are plotting to derail the conduct of 2023 general election. Key players in the fight against sexual and gender-based violence have called on well-meaning individuals to stand up against sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria. They stated these at the opening ceremony of the sensitization of doctors and health workers on tools and guidelines for responding to girls and women subjected to sexual and gender-based violence in Osogbo, Osun State capital. Our reporter, Oluwatobiloba Odunuga, has the details.
The program organized by Osun State Ministry of Health in collaboration with World Health Organization Nigeria on sensitization of doctors and health workers on tools and guidelines for responding to girls and women subjected to sexual and gender-based violence attracted dignitaries from the health sector and health workers across the state. In their separate remarks at the sensitization program on the fight against sexual and gender-based violence, Director of Public Health, Ministry of Health, Dr. Akim Bello, and Executive Secretary of State Primary Health Care Board, Dr. Adebukola Olujide, who were also represented by Dr. Fibian Allo, maintained that there is need to intensify the public lecture on ways to combat the rising against sexual and gender-based violence. Stated further that the program is to sensitize doctors and health workers who are key players on tools and guidelines for responding to girls and women subjected to sexual and gender-based violence in the Nigerian societies.
We're encouraging people to come out and voice out if they've had the problem before. We are in support of our people that have issues, and if they come to us, we are ready to assist them.
With the health workers' knowledge or pre-knowledge or expectation that these things might happen, they will be able to go along with the women emphatically. They will empathize with those that are being victim, and they will help them to come out of the situation by either medical treatment, psychological solution.
Also in his remarks, the Director General World Health Organization Nigeria, Dr. Walter Mulumbo, commended the Osun State government and the State Ministry of Health on the initiative put together to sensitize doctors and health workers on ways to tackle and fight against gender-based violence. The Director General of WHO Nigeria, who was represented by Dr. Jediran Shobawale, maintained that gender-based violence is one of the most prevalent human rights violations in the world, which knows no social, economic, or national boundaries, adding that the impact of health workers in the fight against sexual and gender-based violence in the society cannot be overemphasized. Uluwa Tobiloba, Odunuga, OSBC News.
Nigerian youth have been admonished to stay focused and remain committed to their chosen career by shunning the get-rich syndrome that has engulfed the society. An ace broadcaster, Akintunde Oyelade, popularly known as Orolomo presenter, gave the admonition at an event organized to mark his 20th anniversary in broadcasting. OSBC News reporter Oluchi Amuda, who witnessed the program, says it was raised by the cream de la cream in the broadcast industry and beyond. Our report.
Dignitaries from all walks of life, including families, friends, and well-wishers, particularly those in the broadcasting industry and show business in Southwest and beyond, converged to celebrate one of their own, Akintunde Oyelade, popularly known as Orolomo presenter, who marked his 20th anniversary in broadcasting. The celebrant, who anchors multiple programs at various television and radio stations in the southwestern part of Nigeria and on the global scene through his online platforms, was described as a committed and trustworthy personality who has carved a niche for himself in the field of broadcasting, while extolling the virtues of the celebrant, his families, friends, and professional colleagues, including Mr. Olushola Ajala, Mr. Akinkumi Alabi, Mrs. Mojibola Kayodioke, Mr. BC Ajiboye, Chief Olu Akindele, and Otumba Adekunle Abolade, popularly known as Duduede, stated that Orolomo's creativity, doggedness, sincerity of purpose, professionalism, and dedication to duty contributed immensely to the success he is celebrating.
Orolomo is a very humble guy, Over the years, he's been a very wonderful broadcaster and somebody that's a broadcaster of repute.
Thank God, God has been with him. It wasn't easy, but we give God the glory.
He's a professional to the core. He's one of the presenters that know his onions. 20 years in broadcasting is not a small way.
It has not been easy, but we thank God.
While speaking in an interview with OSBC News, Mr. Oyelade, who could not hide his joy, expressed gratitude to his wife, Alhaja Monsurat Oyelade, and everyone who gathered to celebrate him, noting that the journey has never been smooth, but God has always been faithful to him. He called on the youth not to lose hope in the country, but to be diligent and committed to whatever they lay their hands on, adding that hard work truly pays.
I started my program from Radio Kwara to OSBC. 19 years ago, I started the program called Oletike on OSBC Radio 104.5 Osogbo, and since then, I've been on here of different radio stations, different television.
The event featured live music and comedy presentations, empowerment for the less privileged, raffle draw, among others. Oluchi Amuda, OSBC News.
You're welcome to our sports segments. Nigeria's Rivers United have been drawn in Group B with Cote d'Ivoire, ASEP Mimosa, Motemempe, and DR Congo and Congo Brazzaville-based Davis Noah in the 2022-2023 CAF Confederation Cup. The Port Harcourt Club and the other 15 winners of the playoff round of qualifying were drawn into 4 groups of 4 of Motayo Adebodu of our sport desk completes the story.
The draw for the Confederation Group stage was held at the CAF headquarters in Cairo, Egypt. Rivers United are the only surviving teams representing Nil. Diaz, who has not played since the start of October, recently returned to training, says it doesn't look positive for Amandro Boja after the striker suffered a serious look appearances for Chelsea this season, 10 of them from the bench, scoring once following a successive loan spell.
Now to foreign scene. Guinea's former dictator Musa Didis Camara has denied responsibility when he took the stand at a trial of officials implicated in a 2009 massacre. Sarah Omidele has the details and more on the foreign scene.
Other former military and government officials are accused of the killing of 156 people and the rape of at least 109 women by forces supporting the military government at a political rally in the Conakry Stadium in September 2009, as that women were specifically targeted by Guinean soldiers, and witnesses said that 4 women were shot dead after being sexually assaulted. Presiding Judge Ibrahim Masari Tokara reminded Camara of the charge. Camara was wounded in the head in an attempted assassination and headed to Morocco for medical treatment. Meanwhile, Iran has imposed new sanctions on individuals and entities in the European Union and the United Kingdom in response to a Yudan-based Radio Zaman and French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. On the UK side, Iran blacklisted the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change and targeted several current members of parliament in addition to the Godfrey Bindman, the chair of the British Institute of Human Rights. Several of the sanctions of European Union and UK institutions and officials appear to be related to the January 2020 assassinations of Iran's top general Qasem Soleimani. Sarah Omidele, OSBC News.
The report on OSBC TV. It was edited by Kayode Adebayo. My name is David Ojo. Thanks for watching. Good night.
My name is Femi Adebayo. This holiday season, StarTimes is taking us to a better level. You can step up your family entertainment with the StarTimes upgrade promo. You recharge 2 months on Nova Bouquet and get upgraded to basic hotspot bouquet.